All right. And I see Councilwoman Janie Thomas on too. Hello, Councilwoman Janie Thomas.
Hello.
Where are you still, Councilman Harville? Are you still on?
I am.
Okay. The time is 5 o'clock, and I think you've got some individual the council here, so you can get started whenever you want to.
Is BMSS on the phone? Somebody from there? Don or anybody?
Let me see. Don Murphy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we have a Mr. Don Murphy on the line.
We have Don Murphy's on here and Jamie Lambert's on here. I saw Holly Johnson was on here and she went back off, but we'll probably have a couple other people as well too getting on.
Perfect.
There's Holly.
Perfect.
Here.
This is Holly. I'm here.
Hey, Holly. Thank y'all. Don, thank y'all for joining us.
Sure.
I'll go ahead and I apologize, guys. I'm actually on the road. So y'all bear with me.
You want me to call to order for you, Councilman?
If you would, Mr. President.
Hey, I got you. All right, I'm recording right now. All right, good afternoon. This meeting of the Finance Committee of the City of Selma is hereby called to order. The time is 5:01 p.m. And at this time, we'll have a word of invocation, and we'll ask Councilwoman Christy Thomas to please offer us a word of prayer this evening.
Yes, may we all bow? Father God, we come thank you for this day, Father God. We thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon us, Father God. We ask, Lord God, that you will be in the midst of this meeting. Lord, give us the wisdom and knowledge that we need, Father God, and the understanding to understand everything that's going to go on tonight. Father, we thank you, and we give you glory, and we give you honor, Lord. Especially continue to bless this great city, Father God. Help us to be unified in the name of Jesus. We ask these and other blessings in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Councilwoman Thomas, and Councilman Harville. I know it's hard to drive and not have the agenda in front of, so that's why I offered to, this assist. But the next thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So we ask that everyone please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, Councilman Harville, we're down to the only business item, which is BMSS, LAC, CCC, PA, and Advisory Committee. So that's the only business item that we have on the agenda. So I'll turn it over to you, Chairman Harville.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And I appreciate everybody being on. I know we're not far removed from last night's council meeting, so I appreciate it. On the phone with us today is BMSS, who is just to call them a reputable CPA firm and advisory group would be a bit of an understatement. These professionals are truly professionals. They're probably the very best at what they do in the Southeast. I appreciate them just taking out of their busy schedule some time just to talk with us. I'm going to talk as little as possible. I think we have kind of identified the pieces of the puzzle that we're dealing with. I know the mayor probably has as good of understanding of kind of where we are as anybody. But just to recap a little bit, basically we've had the former administration had some issues. Our treasurer was on again, off again. the audit for 1920 basically was not completed. We also received a review from the state of Alabama, and I have actually shared the state's report with BMSS, so they are kind of familiar with the task at hand, so one of the tasks at hand anyway. My conversations with them last week were, kind of just talking through some options. One of which is, kind of jumping the gun a little bit, a forensic audit. Trying to get in a position where Carr, Riggs, and Ingram could possibly finish our audit for 1920 year, and kind of setting some policies and procedures, accept standards going forward. And out of that conversation, basically, I felt really comfortable in that they have a lot of experience dealing with municipalities, and I'll let them share some of that if they don't mind when I quit pontificating here. Also, it was, I kind of got the feeling they're like, we understand where you are. We've dealt with everything from A to Z when it has to do with municipalities. We feel your pain. We think we can help you. I think the biggest thing we need to do is try to get our arms around where we are right at this very minute, and then kind of go from there. So, Don or Holly, would one of you guys like to kind of hop in at this point and kind of tell a little bit about your experience in dealing with these type situations and just kind of go from there?
Sure. So, going to give you a background experience. I'm going to leave somebody out, but audits we do Pelham, we do Alabaster, we do Homewood, we do Irondale, Moody, Leeds, Hoover. So, I mean, we have a pretty good do a lot with municipalities. And I would tell you that's the other four that I got on here are they're the municipality group, not me. But I can answer questions and talk. But we had a very similar situation with a city of really about the same size as you guys, where they had the books were just in bad shape. Okay, Holly went in really for 2 years. It took 2 years to get it straight. Everything's going great now, but it was a lot of digging. I mean, we've looked at the Department of Examiner's report. Some of the stuff they're talking about are the fixed assets. You did have an audit in 2018. Is that number a good number that we can start with in determining your fixed assets, or do we got to dig further? Those are things that we have talked about. Let me back up real quick first. I got to think on the forensic audit. Here's what I tell you. I would start with the forensic audit. Okay, several reasons. One, you might have a fidelity bond on your employees. If somebody has stolen money, you can apply against that fidelity bond and get the money back. But a lot of times we see theft in companies, and there's no money to get back, and a forensic audit is going to be expensive, and you might spend $50,000 to $75,000, find out that $500,000 was stolen, but you can't get any of it back. Now, there might be political reasons to do that, but from a monetary standpoint, I'd ask you, does it make sense? And here's what I suggest we do too. If you guys wanted to hire us, let us get in there and figure out where you are right now. Then we could talk about a forensic audit, and it might be a good thing. And once we see what it is, we might say, yeah, there's a lot here. We need to look at it. Or we say, look, yeah, there are things that weren't done right. We can point several things out to you. Do you want to know how much it is, or just it's right, and let's just move on and lick our wounds and move on? So those are things that we've talked about on there. The city that Holly worked on, they were actually using a different software. What we ended up doing was we put them on QuickBooks Online. One, so that we, being here in Birmingham, could work on their stuff and not have to be on site. Okay, it is in the cloud, and that way everybody can see what's going on and work on it. Thus, it saves the city money because we're able to do it from here. Okay, and they can see it as well too. Now, I will tell you this too. So part of the problem in reading the report is I would say lack of controls. What it looks like, internal controls. Y'all might have great internal controls, we're just not following them. Okay, so we could come, or if you don't, we can come in and put great internal controls in, and if nobody follows them, we can't accomplish anything. So part of what we got to do is have the right people on the right side of the bus, but make sure that they're also doing the right thing. Okay, some of that, if we come in and clean up, those be the types of things we'll be looking at to help put in place. Or if you got them, we'll look at them and say, hey, this is good. We just got to do it. And so those are the things that from a 30,000 foot view, that's kind of the stuff that's the stuff that we talked about on the phone. And I thought maybe I could start there and just kind of see what kind of questions you guys got, and we could go from there.
All right. I guess with Don's comment there, we'll open it up for questions. Billy, if you want to go in order or whatever you see, I'll yield to you.
You're on mute.
President Jimmy Dunn.
I'm sorry. I think that we can just open it up and allow council members, as they have questions, to just bring those questions forth. So we won't have to necessarily go in specific order, but any council member this time that would like to have a question, please present that at this time. Thank you.
I can't hear.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman James?
Yes, for some reason I can't hear.
You can't.
If someone got, I'm gonna dial back in because I can't hear now. So I'm gonna dial back in.
Okay, and I'll meet you as soon as you come back in. I'll start off with a question, I guess. Don, you were talking about one of the municipalities that you all had worked with had a similar situation to Selma's. And I think you said maybe Holly or whatever had gone in and worked there with them for about 2 years. Mm-hmm. What's that situation like for that municipality now, once y'all are gone? Are they getting good audits? Are they getting good exam reports? What's going on?
Yes, and I'll tell you, we did the audit this past year. New mayor came in, and we done the audit for 10 years. You guys understand how administrations change, so that we don't have. But no, I would tell you, yes, it is a auditable client now. So they're getting clean opinions, and the audits are moving. Now, I would tell you one of the reasons. Well, the pandemic also had some stuff to do with a lot of the change of the audits as well too. But we had a great relationship. It was nothing that we didn't resign. We didn't do anything like that. It dealt with new administration coming in.
So that's like one of a concern that I have in particular is we come in, we set up all these different internal controls. Everything's great while y'all are there. And then when y'all's contractual relationship with us is over, then we go back, in the wrong direction. And so I'm looking at sustainability and making sure that we maintain compliance, because that's the big thing, compliance. No,
I would agree 100%. That's basically where I was going, Mayor. Is they got to do it. We can set it up, and they got to they got and I would tell you. If somebody wants us, once we get it cleaned up, you say, oh, listen, we want you to come in once a quarter, once a month, and whatever, and just look at it and kind of give us a thumbs up. We could do that as well too. There's a lot of things that we could do. And I'll tell you, Jamie Lambert on here. Jamie had checked. What does the state? What can the state do to you guys? Okay, the state can come in and take over, but they have to go through the courts. Okay, and that's not usually the way they do it. What they can also do is basically stop your sales tax revenue. And that's how they're going to twist your arm if we don't get the things moving in the right direction.
This is Councilman Harville. I want just to kind of not answer President Young's question, but just comment to it. One of the purposes of your annual audit is a check and balance or a barometer as to are you following your guidelines or not, because those things will be checked in an audit. Then it's up to whoever, basically up to the mayor, to make sure that anything that is found in an audit is corrected immediately. And that's kind of where this thing dovetailed a little bit. You know, administrations were ignoring the audits and just kind of moving on, whether it be out of neglect or ignorance or for whatever reason, they just weren't getting cleaned up. That's your check.
And we're required to give you a letter in writing of those deficiencies that that you have. And a lot of times we call them management letters. We give you a letter that there's two of them, the deficiencies and one of areas we think you can improve in. So it's you know, we're trying to help you get to. It makes our job easier when things are done like this.
Okay, I have a question, President.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay, I want to ask, we have a program called, do you think we need to be using the program QuickBooks?
Here's what I tell you. It is a, you kind of have to take QuickBooks and, I mean, how you want to jump into what we had to do on QuickBooks on that?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. The reason I switched that other city to QuickBooks is not because it's perfect, but they had a system in place. It was a governmental accounting system by Harris, and the name escapes me, but they had paid a lot of money for it. It was too hard for their average user, you know, and so things were a mess. And I really, my approach when I'm doing consulting work like this is to make things as simple as possible, but still cover all of our bases as far as checks and balances. Because if your systems and your procedures are too hard, people are not going to follow them. So the reason I switched to QuickBooks is to make it's user-friendly, it's simple. You know, let's get this down to the very basics. Get control of our money and our, you know, the basics. Are our expenditures being approved? Are they being assigned to a budget category? You know, just the ABCs of accounting. And QuickBooks is really just the most simple program for people to use. And I provided training, I sat with them and talked to them, and we converted from an old, very difficult system to a much easier one. And I feel like we did that with great success. Sometimes it's about making things simpler.
I have another question. What if we choose to hire your firm? What would you offer us?
I think we come in here and we sit down together and we would agree on exactly what we're going to do. Okay, we get an engagement letter that says that, so that all that's out in front of. I think what we would do is we would first go to that Department of Examiners report you have, and we'd start trying to look at the areas that they're telling us to work on, and we would start there, and then to get you a up-to-date financial statement would be where you know what we would be looking to do. That, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the report. One thing that we would not do, we could help you find somebody. The court, you know, as far as all the stuff that's required in the court, that's not our expertise. That would be somebody we would need. We can help on the accounting side of that and help come up with the numbers, but we need somebody that has a legal background to help you know, help us figure out how that needs to be handled.
Okay.
When you say that, are you talking about like what type of things we will write into resolutions about policies and procedures, or is that something y'all will help with?
No, we could. We could do that.
Okay.
I mean, I've never done it where it's policy and procedures. We usually can help you put together an accounting manual that says this, to get a check approved, it's this department's going to approve this, the head of this department, we need to have 2 signatures on checks over X amount of money. The bank statement, if we've got the treasurer and he or she's reconciling the bank statement, somebody else needs to open it first and go through it. There are things that we would do. In part, we call it segregation of duties. All right, and that's not governmental. That's not for profit. That's basic accounting. Is how to. Now, in y'all's case, you don't have a whole lot of people there. So what we have to do is figure out how best we can segregate duties to do that. Will that prevent all fraud? No. You have people that in collusion and stuff like that. That you can have a company that's got 50 people in the accounting department and fraud still occurs. Okay. So what we're going to do is try to button that up as best we can, put something together. Now, again, like I was telling you, we can write it up and it could be the best thing we do, but if nobody follows it, it's not worth the piece of paper it's written on.
President Young,
Yes, ma'am, Councilwoman Janie Thomas.
I have a question to ask them. My question is, if we have already had policy and procedures in places in the tax collector office and also in the finance office, could you, if you come in, could you look at where the policy and the procedures according to what already in place and see if those procedures have been followed up according to the way it's supposed to be conducted?
Yes, that'd be the first place we'd start. I mean, that's the easiest place. That's what I'm telling you. Y'all might have some great procedures. We're just not following them.
Okay, thank you.
And then to piggyback on what Councilwoman Thomas is saying, all those policies and procedures, and you may have said this, but my internet's going in and out a little bit. On those policies and procedures, if they needed to be updated or adjusted, then you could actually, y'all could make some recommendations to us, in the form of, we could pass resolutions or whatever we needed to do to implement that. You all do that as well.
Yes. And here's what, I'd be willing to bet you, I don't know this, but if y'all got policy procedure that in most cities are coming from the same place, there's a place to go get certain things. And you know what, the policy and procedures might be if we've got 10 more people in accounting, okay? So we do need to look at them for your particular situation. How many people do I have? Who's responsible for what? And is that working? Do I have somebody that's got too much control? Those would be the types of things that we would look. And I would tell you, say, give you this. Holly is the one that does the client accounting services. Help with that. Jamie and Jake are our auditors that go in and do the policy and procedures and internal controls. When we do an audit, we actually review internal controls. Okay, and when if we have a client, for profit or governmental, that doesn't have good internal controls, we have to change our audit. Okay, we can't rely on their controls. So that's something that we look at on every audit that we do. We assess that, and then that determines how we have to audit that client.
Mr. President.
Yes, Councilman Randolph.
All right, let me ask a question. I understand what this firm is going to be doing, but by state laws, is the mayor responsible for doing the audit?
The mayor is the one, Jamie, you and Jake and Stephen, the mayor is usually the one that hires us. Okay, and I think that's their authority. I just know when we do it, they're usually the ones that sign the engagement letter and makes that call. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was, because we could be talking to, listening at y'all talk all night long.
No,
we don't agree with it.
We're not the auditors. We're not the auditors. We're gonna come in and help you with the accounting. He would hire the auditors. Okay. This is a different. You can hire us. Yes.
Yeah. So other words, we're gonna be hiring. We might be end up hiring 2 firms then, one to do the audit and one for y'all to get our books straight.
We've actually worked with Car Rigs on one where it wasn't that they had problems. They just needed help getting their system auditable and putting the work papers together for Car Rigs to do the audit. So I mean, we've actually worked with them in this very situation It'd make their job a lot easier. It'd make it doable.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes,
You can make a hole,
Councilwoman
leave it
Christie
in there
Thomas.
so you find the hole.
Okay, you had mentioned that you helped a similar municipality or company with some things. Can you give us some examples of those things and how were you able to fix them?
How are you gonna go there?
Yes. So what I did, I came in with the exact same intention, is to get them ready for the audit. I was not the auditor. I wasn't looking at historical stuff. My job was to get them ready for the audit. And the project kind of evolved into, let's not do it this way, let's do it this way. And let's make this change here and it will flow a lot easier through the audit or through the system in the office, And so the project, the reason I was there for 2 years is because it evolved as I went. But I kind of think of myself as like a consultant or I get involved in the day-to-day, deep into the transactions that an auditor, they don't necessarily go down to the level that I go, but my job is to kind of clean things up so things are flowing. And then you, as the leadership of the city, you've got some confidence in the numbers that your financial office is producing for you. While I was at that other city, they had never seen an actual financial statement produced from their accounting software until we switched to QuickBooks. We learned how to produce a set of financials that they would know hadn't been changed or manipulated in Excel. They had never had that before. And so they were able to see, and department heads, they had never seen a budget report until we finished, the work that I did. And then the department heads were getting weekly budget reports. So they knew what they had spent, what line item it had been applied to, how much money they had left to spend on their budget. So my part of the job is more of the day-to-day management and how accounting ties into management, and less on, the rest of the team would work on your internal controls, making recommendations, and then some of the historical stuff to get you ready to audit. All of this to be done to keep the state sort of out.
This is Councilman Harville, and I want to interject here. I mean, basically, what we're dealing with two animals. We're dealing with the auditors, and we're dealing with the state. Essentially, what the auditor has done has said, okay, City of Selma, I asked you to produce controls, and you could not do it. Your books are not in an auditable form. We can't do your audit. So that in itself is issues. Basically, what we're talking to this team about doing is exactly what Holly and Don have said. This role, they are also auditors. They also have an audit team, and two of those guys that audit municipalities happen to be on the phone with us. But the hat that they have on right this minute is helping us get our house in order for two reasons. One, to keep the state from coming in and snatching the chair out from under us. And number two is to get our house in order so whoever does the audit can come in and do the audit. So you kind of don't think of this as BMSS is coming in to do an audit. That's not what this is about. I don't know if that helps or not.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Harville. I just want to jump in too. I'm glad the question was posed earlier about the authority for the mayor's office to conduct an audit. We understand and we know the authority, but this is not being brought to you tonight about an audit. Just as Councilman Harville had stated, this is about us trying to get our financial house in order. And let me add, when the examiners, when the state examiners come in and they gave us that report and they set forth those recommendations, you know, you want to be able to, after so much time has passed, to show where some of those recommendations have been implemented. You've got to be able to show that you've actually done some of the things that they've set out for you. Because if you haven't, then they've set into motion, it can come and take our sales tax, and they can try to do a takeover and all those other types of things. So we've got to be able to show what we've done with what we've got. And that is that examiner's report. So what we're trying to do now is be proactive and say, okay, we need to see if this firm can come in and help us get this done so that we can be in compliance. That is that's the goal and objective, is to be in compliance with the laws of the state of Alabama. Any other questions?
Let me say this too. Here's when any accounting firm does an audit, the city, independent, I'm not sure who all would do it. You have to sign what's called a representation letter, and you have to take responsibility for those financial statements. The auditor's not going to take responsibility. So, you know, I think the 2019 part of the thing, nobody want to take and I wouldn't have either. Nobody wanted to take responsibility for the 2019 audits that never got issued. Okay, so you know, part of it is the liability potentially on whoever has to sign that letter.
And
Right.
if we don't get our audits, then we don't get the grant funds that we've applied for in past years and things like that. So we're 3 years behind, and we're looking at spending $150,000 a year on an audit, when typically, what does that cost? About $60,000 for an annual audit? Or
you guys tell me. I mean, size wise, how does that compare to the other ones?
Usually it's about 90, Councilman.
90, yeah.
90.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting, let me ask you this. Did y'all get any of the CARES money?
Yes. Yes.
There's some special audit requirements for that. Okay. It's called a single audit. And actually it costs more than a regular audit, but that'd be something Car Rigs will handle. That's not something that we would handle. Just be aware that that's out there too.
Any other questions, council members? Any other questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, Councilwoman James Thomas.
Also, will that be where you come in, look at internal control, like when we do like if we doing our budget performance, will that be looking at the decision based on the councils on the things that we work on in the budget for the city too?
We could help with that. I mean, here's the thing. We have a blank piece of paper. It's not like an audit where I have to end up at a certain point. It would be, and my thought is, what we do is we kind of do it with change orders. Okay, this is what we're going to do first. Okay, let's get through. It's kind of like Holly talked about the other one we did. It's kind of evolution. I mean, they kept saying, well, let's we get to that. Oh, let's do this now. And so I think that would be how we would suggest we handle it. Is we prioritize it, and then we start working through it. And if at any point you say, hey, we're tired of you guys, or don't like it, or hey, I want to do some more, you know, that would be how we'd handle. So it's something that we would take step by step in what we're doing, and you guys would help us figure out what those steps are.
Because wouldn't that be where with the spendings and that we use to operate the city under our budget, on how each department be using the funds, even also with the councils too, when that falls like that in that category too?
Yes, I mean, that's what I think. I think I'm answering your question here. I mean, you know, Holly was talking about the department heads finally had a budget. Could see, you know, they had a budget, but they had no idea if they were spending it or not, if they were over, under, or wherever. So part of what we want to do, what Holly's going to help you do, is get the system in place so that you can see, was that money, did we follow what our budget said we followed? You guys passed it. Now they got to make sure they do it right.
Okay.
Any other questions, council members?
I do have another question.
Councilwoman Christie Thomas.
How much are we talking about spending on this?
I would tell you the one we're talking about, it was about $100,000 a year. And again, I would tell you, we do it in sections. You know, whatever you wanted to do, we could. It's hard to give you a quote because we don't know what it's going to take to do it. You know, we could tell you each week where we stand, okay, and what we've accomplished, and would love to be able to do that with you. Is stay, because if we communicate with you, it's good for both of us. But it's not like an audit where we can give you a quote because we know when that audit finishes. You know, we got these numbers, we've audited these numbers, and we got the financial to you. So I would tell you the other one, it was I would tell you when we went into it, that was not what we expected, but they kept coming back for more. So it would depend on, and I would tell you if we sat down and had a list of things we want to prioritize, we could give you some estimates. We think, you know, it'd be ballparks. We could give that to you.
And here's one of the good things. The sooner we get our ship sailing straight, instead of paying $130,000, $150,000 for an audit, we're going to start paying $85,000 or $90,000. So this cleanup work can pay for itself very, very quickly. And while we need to pay attention to the money we spend, and nobody's a bigger advocate for that than I am, the citizens of Selma, Alabama deserve to know where their money's going. And I think we need to, these are all really good questions, and I really appreciate, you know, obviously you guys have put some thought into this before you showed up, and I appreciate that very much. So don't just think of it as, well, we don't have $100,000 to spend. I think you have to kind of broaden the question has to be asked, but I'm just kind of asking you to kind of think through that a little bit.
I do think he's right, because we have these. We do an audit and we have to do a lot of bookkeeping, and so it costs more. You know, so and I'm gonna tell you, the first year it's gonna take more. The second year, there's not as much clean up. You know what I mean? If we clean it up and we get the systems in place and people are doing it, we won't have to do it again.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilwoman James.
I know that you have looked at our audits and have seen some of the things that's wrong inside of it, correct?
We haven't seen the audits. We have the examiner's report. Okay,
with the examiner report, at this point, what status you would say Selma's in?
Got a lot of work to do. Financial. I haven't seen any financial information, but there's a lot of work to do.
Okay. And also, I like QuickBooks. It's a good source, and it's not something that a rocket science have to use. Do you think that we probably need to update our computer system that they're using in their office now?
I'm gonna tell you this. Based on what I've seen in the municipalities that we not seeing you guys stuff, answer is absolutely yes. I would tell you, you know, that there's, I mean, Atlanta was one. The cyber, we had one. Cyber got in and shut them down, and it was 2 months getting them back up on there, and they called the FBI and said, what do we do? The FBI said, pay them. And so, you know, they paid, and then it took, had unencrypted, and it was still encrypted. And can you imagine trying to do payroll and collect your sales tax? And I mean, it was bad. And again, it's not just the hardware, but I would tell you, just based on, I mean, we have to look and see what it is, but just based on experience, it very possibly.
Okay, thank you.
So
I have one more question.
Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman Thomas.
And this question is to Troy Harville. Troy, based on your opinion, where you was looking at, that you see as the body of the council, as the administration, which that you brought this company before the body, what were your main target right now of two things that you were required immediately to address this company with?
The first thing is establishing a basis for where we are. I don't think anybody knows where we are, and to me, you can't get to where you want to go if you don't even know where you're starting from. So the first thing for me is I would like to understand right where we are. If I don't know if you remember, but one of the very first meetings, one of the very first things I requested was detailed income statements and balance sheets, because I wanted to do some analytical work, and I was told we don't have those. We can't produce any of that, and that's kind of was my trigger. I mean, I kind of knew what kind of shape we were in based on the answer I got. Second of all would be to get us, just like Don was mentioning, to get us auditable. If we don't get auditable, the state is gonna yank our chain, and it's not gonna be pretty. So Councilwoman Toss, that's what I would say my two main objectives would be. And to go a little bit further, I would also like to have them kind of look at our personnel, our staffing, the way we have our department set up. Is it, I have, and I know some others have kind of taken a look at other cities, and they say, well, their finance department looks like this, and our finance department really doesn't look like that. Which way is best? And where I know enough to be dangerous, here's kind of what I do. I'm kind of like Forrest Gump. I'm not a real smart fella. What I try to do is I try to establish relationships with people that I know are experts in their field, and I try to rely on their wisdom and their experience to kind of take me where I want to go. And so that's kind of what led me to BMSS. I know without any shadow of any doubt they are very, very, very good at what they do. So that's kind of, did I answer you, Miss Janie?
Yes, you kind of answered me what I wanted to know, because I was very, I was looking at some points that I noticed that you were driving real hard on this, and I was trying to figure out. I wanted to hear from you what direction that you were looking at through the examiner report, from the examiner report of what you read and what we all looked at. And also I wanted to ask you, the question was, where with the rating in after the examiner report, did you look at like the weakness of where we at right now, that the city is in, that made you feel like that we needed to bring in someone to bring us up to maybe say for the 21st century of the policy and the procedures of directed in all of our funds that are coming in, to make sure that we all, that our city is directly doing according to that, the policy and the procedures, that from our finance office all the way to our tax office, even so in our judicial branch.
Right. Yeah, I tell you, and I did look at that a little bit, but I'm going to give you I hope not a terrible analogy, and especially for the Auburn fans on the call, they might not like this analogy, but I think most of you are old enough to remember Coach Bear Bryant, and I tell you what Coach Bryant used to do. Coach Bryant used to have his equipment trainers every game go in and change the chin straps on the helmets, the shoelaces in the cleats, and the laces in the shoulder pads that tied the shoulder pads together. And the equipment managers would say, but Coach Bryant, they're only a week old, that they can't be anything wrong with them. He said, well, when I replace them, I know there won't be anything wrong with them. And if I know one of them won't break, then I don't have to waste a timeout or pull one of my good players off to the sidelines and miss a play because he's got a broken string. And my idea is, we know we have a problem. I don't want to assume that this one area is the only problem. I want to make sure once and for all, we find, address, and fix the problem. I don't want to leave, I don't want to put 4 brand new tires on my vehicle and roll down the road and, not pay attention to the fact that I don't have any oil in my engine. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that we're doing a good job for the citizens.
And Councilman Harvey, I want to add, all of this financial matters are all tied together. So I believe if, we get our financial house in order, per having these, whoever comes in to help us with that, and then clearing up our examiner's reports and start getting good audits, then I think that in turn will help us with the city's credit rating.
Absolutely.
I think, would you agree with that, Don?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think that is one of the things that we as members of the council, it's our responsibility to deal with finance. And right now we have financial issues. And so I believe that getting, these parameters in place and getting these procedures and whatever we needed to do, I think in the long run will benefit our credit worthiness. So I think that that's very important for the city as well. And as Clay stated, I think it was Councilman Carmichael, that, looking for grants and other things, all of that's tied together. All these financial pieces are tied together. So we've got to start with the beginning block by fixing what needs to be fixed.
Great question. Great question. Thank you.
Carmichael.
I wanted to hear it from y'all. A couple of people have mentioned this, but I wanted to hear it from y'all, Mr. Murphy. When it comes to the specific positions that we have in these departments and the responsibilities surrounding those positions and the, consolidating of departments, things like that, y'all consult on those specific things as well?
I'll tell you, we could be a sounding board on that. I mean, we see others and know what we can tell you what we experienced, with different people and look at the amount of money going through, kind of have an idea of those kind of things. That would be a discussion. I don't think we could give you a definitive answer, but we can help you come to an answer on that.
And I've done something similar with as a result of interviewing everyone and determining what they do and, what their responsibilities are, what they're supposed to be doing with another entity, not the same city we've been talking about. I interviewed this guy and I could not find 2 hours worth of work that he did all month. And I had to report in my report, I had to say, I don't know what this guy does. And he ended up losing his job because out of his own mouth, he couldn't tell me what he was doing. And that was a savings to that organization of over $200,000. But he had delegated all his responsibilities. And so that is something, like Don said, we can't, this guy needs to go and this guy can't, but just by virtue of what are their current responsibilities, or have they delegated everything, it might be that some restructuring needs to occur.
President Young, I have one last question.
Go ahead, Councilwoman James.
Okay, in the past, the council, not the past, well, this question would be a twofold question. The council is over the finances and the mayor is over the day-to-day activities. And what relationship at what point do you work with the mayor, since he's gonna be watching and delegating what's going on the day-to-day activities. Because I know the young lady state that she usually come in as consultants and help this out, because when you're talking about finances, you're talking about job descriptions on how well they do the job, and are they performing at the level they need to perform for that position they're in. So I want to just know some of the areas that you will be working closely with the mayor on.
Here's I mean, we can talk. My feel is you guys are hiring us, not him. Okay.
That's true.
So I think we would coordinate with you guys what we want to do now. I mean, he can't shut us down. I mean, he can't say you can't talk to this person and other stuff, because he got to give us the ability to do our work. And that's part of the question about who hires the auditor. And, I mean, he's the one that hires the auditor. You know, I mean, this is a consulting engagement. And honestly, I mean, it should help him too. I mean, it really ought to be good.
Yes, we hire you, but we don't do the day-to-day of the employees. So right. You are going to be watching what they do, and you're going to see right. Whether even in an audited report, it shows how well that person did this job. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. So that's the day-to-day activities.
Yeah, I think he's got to give us he's got to give access to those people. I mean, it will be a joint. If he comes in and you guys want to hire us, and he comes in and puts a block up, nobody will get anywhere. Yeah, I mean that won't work. So.
And I just want the working. Yeah. We just want to make sure everybody's on the same page, because when it comes to the citizens, they want to know that we're all on the same page, and they want to. I was in a meeting on Monday, and all the questions they asked me was about finances. Mm-hmm. When are we going to get the finances straight in our city? We can't do anything else until our finances get straight. So I'm very concerned myself about our finances. Mm-hmm. Very concerned.
Thank you. Any other questions from the other council members?
I've got a quick comment. I think you're going to see. I would be shocked if you did not see the mayor lock arms with us and walk steadily in the exact same direction. I really would. I'll be surprised. The mayor. I've listened to the mayor very intently over the last 2 months, and he knows. He understands. He sees all the pieces. He knows the pieces. I think the mayor will walk hand in hand with us. I think you're going to be surprised. I think everybody is going to be surprised, not only the council, but the citizens of Selma. I think they're going to be really surprised how well we work together through this process. And they're going to see some things we're going to see more progress through this exercise than this city's seen in a long time. And I'm excited about that.
We would value that.
Very good. Very good. Any other questions or comments? Any other? All right. Well, Councilman Harville, since you are the chair, you can have the floor, regarding our invitees for the evening and thanking them or whatever you want to do. And then we can proceed with anything else we need to handle.
Yes. And thank y'all, Don, Holly, everybody that was on the call with your crew. I thank you very much for your time. You're a very humble crew, and I appreciate that, and appreciate you being available. We'll talk again as we work through this process. And I would say I just want to. I don't think I heard these words out of your mouth, and I don't want to put these words in your mouth, but this is a sense of urgency, right? This is not something we need to go and massage for 30 days and then make a decision. There's some urgency here.
Well, I hear you on that. Part of we got to get you in the schedule too, and kind of finish it. We'll get. Yeah. So it honestly, it'll probably take us 30 days to get to you, just to wrap up what we got on that.
Right, but if we do that, yeah. If we take 30 days to make a decision, now we're 60 days down the road or 90 days down the road.
Yes, it would. Yeah. 'Cause I can't put Holly off. You know, I got to keep her
Sure.
scheduled. And so that gives me time to get her lined up too.
Sure. Okay. Well, if there's no other business too, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Councilman Harville,
Sure.
Chair.
Sure.
I know we have a work session coming up next week, and we
Yes.
got the budget from the mayor on last night. And so I would ask that you start looking at possible dates that we can use for budget hearings or whatever, but that we be prepared to at least start discussing some things at the work session on next Thursday.
Thank you for bringing that up. I asked Ms. Ellison today, I asked her to send a notice out. I would like to have a finance committee meeting on Tuesday. And on that proposed agenda, I did include a follow-up conversation to discuss what we've discussed tonight.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Do we need a motion to adjourn, President?
No, sir. If that's all the business,
Okay.